This is Amazon on the 5-minute time frame. I'm going to show you price targets for Monday. We ended the day at $129.79, down nearly 2%. The 52-week low, $81.43. The 52-week high, $145.86. Taking a look at the performance, for the week, we are up nearly 5%. For the 3-month period, we are down more than 3%, but for the 6-month period, up 27%, year to date 51%, and for the year out 20%. The 1-year price target, $172.82. This is where we are. To the north side takes us back to the baseline right here at the middle of the trend, and in this case, resistance from where we are. 131.50. A gap forms to the upside at 131.94. 2 standard deviations and another level of resistance, 134.24. That gap closes out at 135.21. 3 standard deviations and another level of resistance and possible take profit area, 135.62. And above that at 4 standard deviations, 136.96. There's another gap to the upside that starts at 138.80, closes out at 139.40, and we are very close to that area in that zone. Now, to the south side from where we are, takes us to negative 2 standard deviations at 128.79. Negative 3 standard deviations and another possible buy-in area and a potential area for a bounce, 127.42. And below that at negative 4 standard deviations, roughly 126.07. Murat says that there's a good area to possibly sell. He'll be tracking that, and that is at 134.50. That would take us to right about here. Let me mark that out precisely. So that is a great area to get out. If you had bought down here, take it out to 2 standard deviations. I like to play it very safely. I like to play and buy along these lines, starting at -2, -3, or -4, and then ride my way up to roughly 2 standard deviations. And if I'm being greedy, either at 3 or 4. But I never expect a stock to stay in this range above 4 standard deviations without taking a breather and going either sideways or down. Typically, a stock just does not stay in that zone all day. So I don't anticipate it to. All right. So anyway, that's Murat's sell zone, and I like it. And looking left, well, this is the move from Friday. So we made it above this middle of the trend. Couldn't quite sustain price action up to 2 standard deviations. I don't anticipate it to stay up there when it does hit. I do anticipate to fall back down. And in this case, it didn't reach it, fell back down, went back up. This would be support, could not stay in this range here, fell back down, got bought up, could not hit resistance, fell back down, bounced off of -2 standard deviations. Sometimes you make it to that line, or sometimes you get very close and then you see a bounce. You just never know. All right, looking left, in this area, you can see a clear sell zone. I anticipate people will be selling in that area because that's resistance. They want to lock in their profits and run. So that is an easy spot to get out here and along here, if you're playing conservatively like I like to play. All right, this gap closed out at 128.85, 127.88, 125.80, and this one at 125.69. Gap plays are also one of my favorite things to watch out for. And when it fills, I typically anticipate you got to get out after it fills, because it will go to the downside or upside depending upon where we are in the standard deviations. Now, this is the baseline. So From here, we go up, that's resistance. If we are up here and we go down, that is support. And anything outside that is an outlier. So I expect moves to happen in those areas. The RSI is at 50 and going down. Now, I want to very quickly go over Apple. I have not checked that out in a very long time. That's my number one holding for individual stocks. We ended the day at 178.85, down more than 1%. To the north side takes us to 180.12 at 2 standard deviations, 182.28. The gap closes out at 182.67, 183.39, and at 4 standard deviations, roughly 184.49. To the south side at support, 177.88, 176.81. At negative 4 standard deviations, 175.72. Oops. And that gap started at 175.38. Looking left, you can see a clear sell area right there. The stock hits 2 standard deviations, could not sustain itself and move up. It started to fall back down where I anticipate it hits support, busted through, and then bounced up. This gap closed at 177.44, and this one closed to the downside at 175.11. The RSI is at 45 and turning down. Oops, I keep moving that. There we go. Let's put that back roughly. All right, that does it for me. Oh, really quickly, let me show you this. This gap I've been tracking. It started on May 4th. All right, still has not closed out. It will close out at roughly 170.72 and starts at 170.72, closes out at 166.87. We are not there, but we are potentially getting close. And if you think the stock market is going to tank, well, then this is one area where it could fill. And I'm keeping my fingers that we don't. But gaps do like to fill. All right, that's a look at Apple and Amazon. Again, thank you to Murat for pointing out Amazon. And I will be making some more videos very shortly.